to dodge lane against the Zoe. So the Jax is the one we should talk about, because Kha'Zix will go unpicked and unbanned for the first time in a Jin Air series in this particular game. And the reason for that is probably to find space for the Vayne. Vayne and Kha'Zix would be two threats that can be trained down by, say, a Sejuani ultimate or a round of damage from Ezreal or Taliyah, whereas Jax a lot more sticky, takes a lot longer to die, is very flexible with his gap close and his different clear options. Is going for a bit more teamfight focus rather than the early snowball, respecting the Sejuani. So they do look past the Kha'Zix the first time in a while. And now KT Rolster might actually be looking for some orange support of their own when you see a Braum ban, and Mada already has an MVP on orange support.
Taking their time with this one. See what the final is going to be. Ornn Braum already eliminated. Perhaps something from the top lane. So you take it off the board. Narsil on the board, but it's actually going to be Taric. So double support bans here by KT.
Ezreal Alistar's been a favorite of a lot of bot lanes and may just be considered here for KT Rolster now the Ornn has been answered. A lot of support bans already. Tahm Kench, in terms of power levels, one of the few ones left over at this point. You wonder if Mada would ever look for a Leona to try to go Vayne hunting. The Jace ban suggesting that Jin Air would like to play some more Gnar. So here's the question mark. Do you want the Alistar? The answer seems to be no. So in this scenario, if they're happy for Alistar or Tahm Kench, you could definitely see there being a draft of the Gnar here from KT. Smeb has been dealing with Gnars all season, and they want to answer the Zoe, just have another champion who can use the Devour to try to trivialize the power of the Trouble Bubble. So we'll go for the Tahm Kench. Still Alistar available if Jin Air wants it. But they might be considering other options here.
All right, yeah, the Shen, something that we've seen banned away a multitude of times, picked every now and there. Could just see the Shen come through, and that's going to be a flex pick for support or bot lane.
Gangplank also the Gangplank also available. Shen could still be taken. I'm very interested to see what support they take. Vayne's lane presence isn't the strongest, so you'd think something with lane presence here would be smart. So blind pick Gangplank against Smeb can be risky. Wonder if he'll just go into the Gnar, if we'll see something new from Smeb, who has been operating on a different champion pool than most in this particular meta. Less carries than you'd imagine when Khan's walking around killing everyone.
There's the All-Star you were talking about. Does get locked in here for Wraith. GP up top. So not the tankiest front line here for Jin Air. Alistar going to have to rely on that ultimate to very widely keep him in these team fights. But the Jax here for Umti very likely going to have to go a bit tankier out of the jungle.
Sure, people are calling for a Riven pick here, but that would be surprising given the rest of the draft. It wouldn't fit in as cleanly. It's still a possibility with Smeb, but he's going to go for the standard compositional pick when you already saw the Sejuani. It wasn't like Kingzone's draft where they heavily banned Engage and then went for the Riven to really force a 1-3-1 or 4-1 situation. So it's going to be Gnar against Gangplank, which so far has been tending a little bit more towards evenness, which does favor the Gangplank, all things considered. Jin Air does have good pick CC from the mid lane, the bot lane, and the jungle. So Vayne and Gangplank is a lot of scaling damage, and Zoe scales insanely as well. But KT probably going to be fleet footwork on the Sejuani. Taliyah, let's see if the Weaver's Walls can be on point this time from Pawn. KT really want to do a lot of stuff early game, pre-2 items for Jin Air. That's probably where KT have the biggest inroads towards growing a gold lead.
Definitely expect Pawn to be a bit more proactive with those Weaver's Walls, trying to make plays around the map. We'll see if he can get things started as early as we saw from Jin Air in the last game, going for those level 3s. Gonna try to lock somebody down. Wouldn't have too much escapes for the Gangplank there in the top lane. So we'll see if that is going to be a point of contention there for KT early on. But Zoe here yet again for Grace had quite the day out versus Kongdu Monster. Picked up a triple kill. We'll see if he can replicate that performance here now.
Yeah, a 14-minute ace in that game is something KT would certainly like to avoid. Some safety here, but pretty even draft going into game 2.
All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if Jin Air can tie up this series, take us to game number 3, or if we're going to have another 2-0 here for KT Rolster as we load onto the Rift. KT looking to close it out nice and easy. Let's see if they can pull it off.
전사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Already. CS advantage to Deft. Takes out the ward.
Call it now, it's done.
Game's over.
Definitely.
Ezreal ahead in 2018.
Well, the Vayne certainly doesn't feel too great about the fact that the red side is being jungled here. As much information as possible on Umti's jungle start. Haven't had confirmation yet of the keystone for score, but last time we saw him play, it was on the fleet footwork for a bit faster of an early clear and the ability to tussle and do some battle warding of his own, even on the Sejuani. Any predictability on the Jax will be welcomed, and Jax responds to the deep vision by looking for a topside start from So1 fans in the audience.
Certainly has earned them so far this season, you would have to say. Like
yeah,
you said, has very much improved in that top lane.
First time he's ever been a starter with no substitute top laner. Ixu and he splitting time in the past, but has definitely lived up to the starter billing and looked very powerful. Again, wonderful Nara ultimate in that last game to win Game 2 against Kongnu Monster. Game 1, the numbers are, not going to be the biggest. Smeb did more DPM. That shows you that the numbers can be quite misleading.
Trundle mostly just trying to split push, knock down those structures. So didn't have as much skirmish opportunities as he would have liked. The skirmishing. It's going to have a bit of back and forth here. This is actually a bot lane that we might be interested in watching this time around, Papa Smithy. Usually it's a bit Resident Sleeper, but this is going to be a little bit more PogChamp potential.
A lot of outplay from Vayne Alistair. Alistair's one of the few supports who can actually have some threat onto the Tahm Kench if he can buffer his E during the duration of the Devour. As well, welcome to the lane, So1, says Smep.
Yeah.
And then Vayne also, the outplay queen. So between the two, there is the potential for things to happen, but the 2v2 very rarely does lead to too much action. It should be at least 3 Relic Shields. I didn't actually see if Deft started the Doran Blade, which was Teddy's favorite on the Ezreal recently. We'll get that confirmation soon.
He's trying to take the blue buff, and here's going to be that level 3 roam that I was talking about.
Jinna can do. They wait for the grouped wave. They look for the turret dive. They go in earlier. But, well, let's see how So1's dancing shoes are.
Yeah, that's going to be the ward coming down. So1 going to flash to the side. Goes low, and he'll get taken down. First blood moves over to score. Arrives, trying to trade one back, but it's not quite going to happen. So free first blood goes over to KT. Great roam.
Because we didn't see a bot lane start, we should talk about how this all happened. Elbow coming straight back into lane, but the rest of KT backing off. Because of the red buff ward, it wasn't free for to path red to blue to Gromp and be there for a counter gank. Instead, he started the blue buff, which is the correct call to not give exact timings to the enemy team or to make yourself slightly more unpredictable, but it made the turret dive for KT predictable. So from level 1, the plan was to emulate Jin for the turret dive. The ward forward and the invade really got them the extra information they needed. So clean stuff from KT. Great macro to start off the game.
What they lacked in game number 1, they're making up for it right here. Teddy slipping slightly behind Depth as far as the CS is concerned, but given those summoners have been blown, no one has died. I think he's going to be quite happy with this so far here with the Vayne. Double Relic Shield on both sides. So just going to be trading that gold back and forth.
Yeah, a bit more passive than recent Ezreals, like I mentioned, were looking to Doran Blade and tried to punish from level 1. Probably not going to be the biggest thing to talk about. Watch this game. Timing's going to be so important here for KT. It will be big swaths of the mid-game especially where KT have earlier power spikes than that of Jin. Only a huge trouble bubble can answer that. That's a nice headbutt pulverize.
Yeah, it does get him, but it's going to be the Devourer there from Mata right away. Deft does take a little bit of damage, knocked down to about half HP, but given the amount of consumables that he'll be picking up in the Kleptomancy, it's hardly worth mentioning. Already the health potions rolling through.
Yeah, those nerfs towards the Kleptomancy drop rate aren't applied in 8.1, which we're on this week. Have to keep mentioning it because when we start rolling into other regions, they will all be on 8.2. So NA and EULCS most prominently will be in the future, and maybe we'll see Something shut down. Speaking of
Roam
shutdowns,
up top is going to be the counter-strike there. Umpty already using the leap strike, flashes in, gets the stun in onto Pawn as Grace does arrive. Triple bubble not going to connect, goes in onto the Wolf and Pawn. He's going to be in a bad spot. Seismic Shove does knock Umpty away. He flashes away from Grace, but he is just going to get picked off here as Grace does find the kill. So another aggressive roam looking for that top lane pick onto the GP. Gets turned around by Jin Air.
this one was a bit straightforward for Jin Air to deal with. Nice counter roam coming through. The moment that the Jacks walked up, you would think that they would abandon ship, but they continued to invest. They tried to turn, even after the first paddle star went down. It wasn't going to be enough to halt the invade in its tracks, and that means that Jin Air actually gets something ahead in the blue side jungle that at this point should be owned by KT. They have 3 control wards in the area invested for vision control, and yet give up a free kill to Jin Air. That's the mistake that goes against the smart setup that got them first blood.
A lot of depth. Probably thinking right now, I guess we have to be the ones to carry this one home yet again. Survive the laning phase, make sure that Teddy and Wraith don't get much of an advantage here. Try to transition that into a win. Unlash comes through, Mata taking just a little bit of damage, but Teddy, as you might expect, is more interested in clearing out the minions, trying to stay as close to depth as he possibly can with this Vayne. At the moment, just going to be down about 6 as he starts pushing in towards that turret.
Because of back timings, there's really no way to abuse the Ezreal. Is going to come back with Tear Sheen and also the red pot. So he comes in. He's going to have the trading advantage, especially if he's hitting his Mystic shots. So no shot from Vayne to really answer what Deft is going to be doing in lane. So can they grow a lead? Can they play around the lane pressure in bot lane, as we have the 280 carries who, short of the Ezreal ultimate, have very little ability to push lanes. Be very predictable and methodical to actually get the push going on the bot side. Things like the minion dematerializer from Wraith could be very powerful in that regard.
Perfect timing there for Mata.
And he was able to get the freeze pretty deep on the side of KT. A couple melee minions going to push in, but lane spot very safe for the back coming through from the Tahm Kench.
Very nicely done. Infernal Drake sitting on the rift right here. Hasn't been targeted out by anybody yet. KT were able to come up with that second kill in the top lane. If that roam had worked out, likely would have seen them try to go for that objective early on, but for now, we'll just be slowing things down.
What do we make of it? If we're KT Rolster, a lot of the vision around top sides being cleared out, only a control ward around the gangplank for the top lane entrance there for KT Rolster. Probably going to see the vision largely move to the bot side, but no start on the Drake unless they can get a pretty significant chunk or zone out Teddy and Wraith from the bot side. Because of the freeze, Teddy was just taking some Krugs, had spare time, and couldn't go that far up the lane when they had no vision on when Sejuani was. We know that Sejuani was low on mana, but information not available to Jin Air, so respectful play from Teddy and Wraith.
Shot barrage there coming out to continue pushing in.
Speaking of pushing in, Zoe clearing in the face of Talia.
Really aggressive there. That's going to be Deft taking that turret aggro. The Bower is there. Helps keep him healthy and alive as he just keeps firing away with the Mystic shots, chunking Wraith and Teddy down.
Level 5 on the Owl, so that's why they went aggressive. They had the level lead, but that lead is now answered by Wraith, and in the meantime, Umpty was able to steal away the red buff after a good poke from Grace. So a lot happening across the map, but not the chain feeding like we saw in Game 1.
KT happy to not be on the receiving end of that yet again. And you can see Deft and Mata just really ruling the lane at the moment. Nothing that Teddy and Wraith can do.
That's Mystic Shot accuracy has always been something he's been heavily complimented for. It's going to make Teddy and Alistair, Teddy and Wraith, their laning phase very painful. Alistair, unless he's engaging, doesn't offer a lot. Doesn't have the map control to go for the WQ into buffering the E stun onto the devoured target after it's spit out. You need a lot of time to make those plays. You need a lot of vision of the enemy team, and right now around bot side, Jin Air have neither of those things.
Well, it's going to be the headbutt pulverized, but the arcane shift comes through. Deft just getting that cheeky little sidestep in time, keeps himself safe.
Watching score here, paths over a control ward. So again,
Will he check it?
vision available to the side of Jin Air? The answer is no. Gonna walk up.
He's waiting outside of vision.
This is very smart from Jin Air, and the research here is great. Do not see Jax. As you can see, this is toggled vision for KT.
Seems like they're still just going to go ahead and peel back. Smeb nowhere near transforming. Looks like he's exhausted at the moment, so going for a dive without the Mega Gnar ready to go would be potentially ill-advised. But now they're going to be drawing up pawns, so it seems like they might still be looking for this.
He still has not seen Umti, who's doing some real good vision hugging. I think he sees him now.
Yeah, should spot him out. Yeah. So he decides, screw it, I'm just going to push up to the turret so they don't even attempt to go for the dive just in case one of us gets taken out. Double pulverize coming through there from Wraith, and it's a nice little trade there onto Deft, does Teddy. For that final hit through Silver Bolt, but can't quite get the third.
That's a BF sword, and Deft has been opting into a lot of tumble trades, so not actually winning the trades as hard as you might imagine. Sorcery on Deft here, so could be the Gathering Storm, which has been a favorite both for Jin Air and against Jin Air, famously, with the long game times. Would have paid off a lot in game 1, because it went 40 minutes, that's when the rune really starts to get a lot of value. While they haven't been able to kill the turret, which is why we saw Score and Pawn so heavily around the top side, they were able to get it low. They get the Rift Herald, and this instant pop on the Rift Herald saying, well, let's end the laning phase right now.
Yep, just going to go ahead and finish off the turret with the charge alone. Score clears out the vision. Just trying to accelerate. Umti here, not comfortable going for the Infernal Drake, even with seeing Score around the top side of the map.
They're still desperate to have forward vision. The first recall was actually KT, so they knew that the time Kench and the Ezreal could be there, Abyssal Voyage in, and potentially answer. It wouldn't have been free. There wasn't enough time to solo it, and his bot lane wasn't there to react. So just a free objective to the side of KT. Nicely done. Punishing the scaling that we've already spent a lot of time setting up in Champ Select. It's already been drafted by Jin Air.
Teddy for the moment here, alone underneath the turret. He's subject to a bit of poke here as he tumbles into the Mystic Shot. Two-Shot Barrage comes through, clips the first few of the wave. Big hit in on the Pawn as that Paddle Star starts ripping into him, looking for the other one.
Would have killed him probably there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Tries to get the jump forward, but doesn't quite have it. And again, the Pulverize coming through, but the Devourer there to answer.
Headbutt pulvering the wave as well, which is delaying any auto attacks onto the turret, so maximum value from his spell rotation there by Wraith. He'll do that every time it's off cooldown if he needs to.
As long as the mana lasts.
Score coming for the lane ganks. Sejuani ult available. Both teams going to be baiting. See what happens here.
See who has the true jump. Score waiting in the brush. Still have vision on Teddy and Wraith. Score holding. Finger on the trigger for that ultimate. Numti channeling the recall. Will go ahead and stop it. Jump forward. Deft going to get popped up. The Devourer comes through. They got to get the lockdown straight in onto Teddy. And he is going to get popped by the look of it. One more hit. No, flashes over the wall. Keeps himself alive. Deft still skirting around the sides of the fight. Now turns in onto Wraith. They lock him in with the Sejuani passive. Trying to get the kill. Two-Shot Barrage. Teddy does tumble to the side. Keeps himself alive. And now Pawn is joining in the fray. Pop-up comes through. First kill going over to Umti as he finishes off Score. Wraith will fall. As Pawn tries to finish off the Jax. One more hit would do it. There you go. Deft able to take him down. That'll be the turret as well, going over to KT. 2 for 1 plus the turret, but a hard-fought win.
Yeah, hardly clean, but definitely effective from KT. Will take the turret as well after all of this. Smeb had roamed down to stop Grace from getting a push in the mid side. The only advantage that actually comes to Jin Air is free farm for Sowan. Desperately want to catch up in minions. The minimap, I think, tells a lot of story here. Score getting the ultimate onto Teddy. You would have thought would have been first blood. That doesn't happen. We watched this bot side already. Let's talk about what's happening on the minimap. Talia will always roam down first. Because Gnar had so early roamed, they already had the turret top side, he was able to keep Zoe in lane. Zoe never got to bot to try to turn this around. Outnumbered means that Jin Air do pick up the kills. Teddy escapes with his life, but the turret and his teammates aren't so fortunate. So KT still get the assertive play they drafted for. Successfully done pre-15 minutes.
Very nicely done there by KT. 3-2 though, not a stark difference as far as that is concerned, but they are finding themselves to be a couple thousand gold ahead, 3K just about here at the moment.
Soon to be an Infernal, you'd have to imagine.
Yeah, they have so much control around the pit at the moment, so take some serious work by Jin Air to push in, or maybe even to try to steal this, but the Dumty up around the Wolves at the moment. Seems like this is just going to be a free take here for KT.
Well, the Jax for team comp makes a lot of sense when you think of a 5v5 phase. The passivity of Jin Air in basically every role suggests to me that we may never get that 5v5 phase at Kilios. Right now, Umti's had to be on the back foot because he's had lanes that were losing, outroamed by Pawn and Score on the enemy side.
Trouble bubble there for Grace, but the body block for Mana. Fully prepared to take that paddle star to the face if he has to.
We saw game one where with the Talia dropped, at least Jin Air was strong somewhere. Here in this game, they're not really strong anywhere. Zoe can do some damage in mid lane, but predictably, So1 has lost his turret early, and the bot side, a nice roam from the Talia means the bot lane turret went down as well. Now they're piling in mid side. Nice burst onto depth. May delay mid lane turret going down, but Jin Air desperately need extra time because KT owns Summoner's Rift.
Well, very powerful clearing out the minions here is Jin Air, so hold on for what they can. So I'm trying to get the trade there on this map, but he's just keeps skirting right outside of the range of those barrels, making sure that he can't get poked down. Just trying to be as annoying and oppressive to that GP as he possibly can be, and showing through with the CS. He finds himself at 180, but pulverized there from Wraith. Gets knocked down to about half HP. Score arrives, pops him with the ultimate. He'll get locked in. Now Smeb's coming in from the backside, pushes Teddy in, gets the wall up. The seismic shove from Pawn. They'll take him down. 3 members instantly dead on the side of Jin Air as KT now just have to wait for the wave in order to knock down this turret.
When KT has the proactivity and the early game goes their way, they're so good at playing them out. That's the counterpoint to Jin Air in game one. As they set up around mid lane, Talia pushed down bot as Weaver's Ward come up. Score had cleared all the vision and put down control wards in the enemy red side jungle. They were always going to be able to cut aggressively. 2 people flank Teddy, who will wonder how they could both get there first. But Jin Air continued to be pushed back. KT continued to take over the map. KT tried to sacrifice the minimum in game one, even with a top laner who couldn't respond. In this game, Jin Air's kind of sacrificing at every moment, and KT's greedy. They're just taking more.
Jin Air. I mean, what do you really do if you're Jin Air at this point? Just try to hold out until 40 minutes for the Vayne to start popping off?
You don't do anything. You're told what to do. There's no freedom here. It's it's stolen.
From downtown, depth all the way back in the bases. Thank you very much for the leash, good sir. I'll take that one.
Fate has been removed from Jin Air. They sacrificed too much, and when you still need items, I mean, Vayne's got nothing. BF Sword and Zeal isn't going to do anything compared to 2.5 items from Pawn. So1 has a Trinity Force, doesn't have anything, tankiness or damage at this point. They have control of nothing. At least with the Kha'Zix, while it didn't necessarily make sense for team fights, he could try to tussle with the Sejuani. Instead, it ended up being a farming jungler, and the end result is, to answer your question, they don't do anything. They look for a mistake. They need a pretty big mistake here from KT Rolster, who are immensely ahead at 18 minutes, even more than the 6,000 Golden Infernal Drake might show.
Oh, rough times to be a Jin Air fan. Seems like the Glad plane, the Teddy plane, whichever you want, might not be flying here today. So I'm trying to get the steal onto the Gromp. Can't quite find that as when it comes down in onto Wraith. Poke down. Still going to be relatively healthy, though, with the Alistar. Relic Shields still trading back and forth, so he'll be fine to stick around. And keep hugging that tier 2. Grace jumping in, trying to get that paddle star through. Takes quite a bit of damage from depth. And we'll go ahead and see the Weaver's Wall thrown down here from Pawn as they try to open up this turret.
Weaver's Wall being thrown down. Already something we didn't see from Jin Air in the previous game, being used to cement objectives, not just as a teleport. Great use there by Pawn on the Talia.
Didn't have everybody there, and Ezreal not going to be the strongest. Got the Triforce procs, but aside from that, the general auto attacks aren't going to be doing a whole lot to the structures. But you can see the poke coming through is going to be pretty significant as Wraith barely gets clipped by that.
And it's just good news stories on the mini-map as well. 3 control wards in a straight line denying Jin Air from ever responding to bot side.
Oh,
big
three-man
pulver.
pulverize coming through here. Devour comes down, Mana flashing away to spit depth out on the other side. He's cutting his way back, nearly kills Teddy and forces out the heal. But there we go, Paddle Star from Grace finds his mark, takes out depth. The follow up with the counter-strike on Damada. The bot lane of KT does get eliminated. And Grace, he's found these hits twice now in this game. Haven't seen that explosive performance like we expected from him. that we saw in the series versus Kongdu, but he's finding the picks when it counts. It's allowing him to hold on for dear life.
And that gives them a grace period where there isn't going to be aggressive pushing from KT, where they can clear out the control wars that ruin their day in the bot side. So important. This is all started by Wraith. Really impressive there. He headbutted a minion and taxied it, flashed for the pulverize on 3. Surprised KT, who didn't die initially, but here comes the paddle star. Max range. Can't E out of that late. It's not a blitzcrank hook. Sorry, Deft, you're dead. From there, Mata isn't even able to pop the Grey Health. For some reason, he's poking with Q. He dies. 2 free kills. It's not going to get Jin anywhere, but it's not going to put them further into the graveyard as well. And with how the game was playing out, with the fact that we said the fate wasn't in their own hands, it took something, a moment of brilliance from Grace, and now at least they live to fight another day.
I mean, if Grace can truly hit this point where he can one-shot an Ezreal like we've seen in the past.
That's quite a few death caps and other AP items away, but you're right.
Go for the old Jin strategy. Hold out as long as you possibly can, try to win the game after 40 minutes.
And he's probably got Gathering Storm. He took it earlier than this week, so you're right. There is the 40-minute win condition, the dream, but how much of the map will be gone, and will the game still be running at 40 minutes? That's the more pressing question.
Yeah. It's not seeming that way so far. Another Drake picked up there for KT. Ocean to go alongside with the Infernal. It'll be another Ocean on the way as KT go ahead and take over complete control of the vision around the Baron.
Not complete control around the bot side any longer. Gangplank was taking Krugs and waiting for the minion wave to push in. Items are starting to be pieced together from the last time we checked. Shiv is there, but Vayne doesn't have Infinity Edge yet, so still, it's not a true threat. Decent items onto Grace, but nothing to write home about. And the Sterix Gauge finished for Gangplank, so a tankier build to try to just survive the laning phase against the Gnar. It's still not true threat onto Deft unless the Paddle Star is doing the brunt of the heavy lifting.
Trouble bubble onto Mata, and Deft is actually ready to body block the Paddle Star. Bold of him there with the Ezreal as we'll see the fight break out. Missile Voyage there from Mata. Here in the mid lane to get the seismic shove in on the Wraith. He goes low. Can they get the Devour? He's ready to die, and you see Mata, he doesn't want to take the kill. And once they hand it over to the carries, and Deft will be able to pick it up. Deft now trading back in onto Grace. Gets a couple hits, burns him down to about half HP, and KT will finally take out that inner turret in mid as Smeb goes in for the exchange here onto Soan right before that Mega Gnar expires. Works him down low, has him slowed up. They're going to be looking for the finish onto the GP. Flashes to the other side. Seismic shove comes through. Buddy's got the stopwatch to stay alive for a little bit longer. There's no way for him to get out. He goes down. Ultimate connects in onto Umpty. Takes a leap strike, a short one to the side.
Deep.
Dives in, charges for it, pops him up. The counter strike buys a little bit more time, but he will inevitably fall as Pawn finds the kill. And KT are just charging through the base. Not a care in the world.
I mean, they just gave Grace nothing while Grace was trying to clear minions and take blue. They took basically everything in their base. Turret diving, reckless abandon. From there, they're just going to run straight to Baron. Nothing Grace is going to be able to do to really contest this. Still not 2 items on Teddy. KT looking to ice the game with a Baron.
Yep, Grace, he's got the TP ready to go. We'll go ahead and cast that one out.
Lumty dead, they have to start a fight soon.
He's a Siege Mage. Even getting the pokes out here is not going to do a whole lot. They do find one on the Smeb. 3-man Pulverize coming through for Wraith yet again as the Baron goes low, but the smite is there from Score. They take it away. Smeb going to jump over the wall. Deft following suit. Will get themselves out alive. And it seems like Score might be left for dead. He will go down. 2 members picked up as Mata and Score fall. But still 3 Baron buffs there for KT. They take the buff for themselves, and now they can start working their way towards the inhibitors.
No clean exit plan for KT, but a clean Baron take plan for KT Rolster. Score was waiting for his Arctic Assault to come off cooldown, went golden, but then you just stand on top of him, and he doesn't have the ability to jump over a wall if there's a body blocker, so good positioning from Wraith and friends. They get a couple of kills, but what does it mean in terms of item completions? Desperately need the Vayne to accelerate her way to Infinity. She'll have it now, but need more than that. You need the extra zeal. Needed this to be a cleanup quadra kill for the Vayne. As, well, Pawn just wants to kill Soan.
Yeah, looking for the pick there. Slows him up. Seismic Shove not going to connect this time around. And Deft is still wrapping his way in. Seems like they might just abandon the chase.
Gets Sterix Gauge, but nothing else from that particular rush. Pawn's going to back. Could just switch over to the teleport, but not in any rush. They go back to pushing. Outer top lane turret is alive. All the turrets are alive for KT Rolster. 8,000 gold ahead, and the 4 turrets certainly one of the reasons for that lead.
Yeah.
Jin opted into this. They could have gone for a lot more lane presence, but Teddy saw stars in his eyes and went for the Vayne. When combined with Gangplank, I feel like Gangplank and Vayne is too far into the late game, as blue buff is confirmed by Grace that time.
Not this time, Deft. Tries to go for another cheeky little steal. It's not going to happen.
The what-ifs look very unlikely to happen. The fairy tale of the late game, Gangplank and Vayne, is probably never going to be truly told, as KT continue to play the map, very aggressively pushing across all 3 lanes.
Teddy doing his damnedest, but he's 2 items in. Doesn't have the power that he needs to chunk out Score and Smeb as they start jumping into his face pawn. Got the Banshee's Veil. Be very happy about that one if he takes that Paddle Star to the face.
Start to walk up. Already a lot of damage on Teddy.
And the shield comes down and instantly gets taken out by another Mystic shot there. Shot Barrage will just get tossed out. A good measure, just trying to keep the wave contained inside the base. That pressure up onto the inhibitor here.
Def being a huge jerk. Touches the way on Ezreal against Vayne. And knows his role in this matchup, and they'll just move to the minion wave. Take the last inner turret of the game. 6-0 in a turret score. Huge lead. KT finally cresting 10,000 gold. All Jin can do is say, well, we still have our base. We still have not had an inhibitor cracked. That might take the next Baron. 35 seconds left on the current.
On just keeping that bot wave moved up. Scoring going to back him up. Trying to get the siege going here. Not quite a full court press. Minions are pushing in the mid lane, but the rest of KT just working their way down towards the bottom. Smeb going to be containing So on for the time being. Next with Chubb comes through. Wraith chunked down to half already, as is the turret.
Paddle Stars on the minion wave aren't going to wave clear. That means KT can walk up unless Def is chunked down. Started blocking himself with this siege minion. So waiting for the next and final minion wave. They think they want to ice the turret. The Weaver's Wall on point from Pawn as well.
Turret goes down. Scorch pulling up into the front line. The lockdown and carry if he can. Double bubble not going to hit anybody. Battlestar will clear out the minions, but KT, they don't need them in order to finish this off. The inhibitor will be falling here. 27.5 minutes just about in. It's a slow, methodical choking out of Jin, I suppose.
After a slow, methodical defense of a team that was trying to get the maximum out of a split pusher. So, very different identities for KT Rolster in this particular series, and Jin also having to go from being an aggressor to being on the defensive side. KT have definitely got the maximum out of their lead, though. Whenever we see these Weaver's Walls having high impact, but not necessarily just carrying Pawn into a fight, we wonder what could have been if Grace was more proactive and the team was more proactive in setting up around the ability to deny engage that the Weaver's Wall can also provide. Ocean Drake is not going to actually force the spawn of an Elder. We're too early for that one, so an Infernal will show up, which is happy news.
Feels like this game has been going on for a while, just because the inhibitors have been broken and how long it took for that to happen in the last one. But yeah, not even 30 minutes into this one, so still one more Drake to be spawned. Seems like double Ocean, double Infernal here for KT, unless Jin can really turn something around.
Does seem unlikely.
Yep.
The Vayne's so far behind in items that making this work against very close to a 6-item Ezreal. So Teddy pace here towards the 6 items. Only the more Malmorti's completion away from 6 items is deft.
Certainly hurting Teddy's average CS per minute.
Might actually be down. Might actually be missing minions finally.
Yep.
Teddy Horizon cannot be opened up over deft.
I don't think Deft is going to be in any position to open up a Teddy Horizon over Teddy either.
No.
Too significant.
And the game's probably going to end before that's going to happen. I can't see 70 minutes being added here. Had some miracles.
Oh, well, that's going to be Grace
Look
jumping
at
into
this.
Deft, but oh, he's just going to go aggressive, almost finishes him off, forces the flash out of the Zoe, says, you want to jump in my face? I will do just that to you.
80 carry players around the world felt such a rush of blood there, seeing Deft go aggressive onto the Zoe. No one-shots on this Ezreal.
That Freak feels vindicated as Deft goes into the melee range. Wraith now getting chunked out. Will get Seismic shoved back in. Looks like he is just going to get melted as Smeb finds the kill. Score taking the turret here for the moment as it gets knocked down below half HP, and Smeb running amok into the back line, chunking out Nearly finishing him off and threatening with that Mega Gnar.
Whole time they could tank up the turret. We knew that from before when they turret dive 5 minutes ago. Inhibitor number 1 rolls down with the side of Jin Air. Nothing they can do. No engage. Wraith is dead. No cannon barrage used. They should probably use it to delay these minions, but they're just giving it up.
Turrets all gonna fall. Every inhibitor taken now by KT as they try to finish this one off. So on. Getting chunked down here by Pawn. Seems like KT still gonna play this one a bit slowly as they start retreating. Have a Baron
Teddy.
spawning in 10 seconds. Now looking for Teddy. True Shot Barrage not going to clip the vein. KT looks like they're just going to go ahead and resume backing off.
They got what they came for. 3 inhibitors down for Jin Air. We said that before, and it did lead to a victory for Jin Air, but in such different circumstances. What we're seeing now, 3 items onto Teddy. Will be 6 items onto Deft when he backs. Baron buff going to be uncontested. Now it's going to steal away a red buff. No resources left for Jin Air GreenWings, and we wait for the shop and the inevitable end. Baron buff power play should close the game.
Yep. And you have to say, I mean, the best score line here on the side of Jin Air is Grace 3-0-1 with the Zoe, but hasn't really been doing much. He's hit a couple of those paddle stars to chunk out members of KT, but that was forever ago. We have had the same score, for several minutes there. Finally, somebody dying, so it's 6-10 instead of 6 to something else.
And games like this are supposed to be the counterpoint to, the Zoe is overpowered trend. I think Paddlestar does too many things, but I don't necessarily think the damage needs to go down. I'm in the camp that it needs to do less damage to minions to stop her from roaming, because in this game, KT as a whole stopped the Zoe from roaming. She's had in mid lane and wave clear. She's not really a side lane champion, and KT won the game around Zoe. We never really mentioned her name because she wasn't consequential in this game.
Oh,
Speaking of Zoe.
Yet again, getting chunked out. True Shot Barrage comes through. He goes really low. His score tries to fish for the ultimate to finish her off, but can't quite find it. So Grace very well may end this game deathless, but has had a very lackluster performance compared to his former one. Weaver's Wall coming through, cutting off a couple members here. Teddy contained on the other side as Med threatens in the sidelines. The lockdown comes in, and that's going to be Grace getting popped this time around. Cannot escape as a double kill comes through for Smith.
Oh.
Pushes everybody into the wallop. Takes him down, feeds a double kill straight over on the Depth, and Umti can do nothing but watch. He'll get finished off right at the end. Triple kill to Depth to finish things off. The kills exploding for the final ace, and KT will just go ahead and clear out the final map there. 2-0 over to them.
And we always know with KT Rolster in this iteration, when the early game goes their way is when they're most comfortable. Doesn't mean they always win, but this was one of those games where they iced it early. It felt like they were always 1 step ahead, even 2 steps ahead of Jin Air, and the Zoe was left stranded. That's what can happen against Zoe. Her snowball is disgusting, but when she's behind, she can be a passenger. Ended up being a passenger here. KT tanking inhibitor turrets very early into the game with how wantonly tanky the Sejuani ended up being. Sejuani, one of the best ways to answer a Zoe just because of the Paddle Star's predictability. So the ultimate victory on the portal jump. Jin Air were taken down 2-0. We wondered how good Jin Air, it seems closer to 2017 than perhaps they would want to be. In 2017, they were able to beat up on the lower teams, but struggled to actually take out the top 3, the top 4. Those top 4 aspirations, that 4th spot aspirations, take a pretty big hit as they are significantly behind KT Rolster based on